what's up, everyone? I think we can get started here. This is the Ecosystem Wednesday call with Valory and Autonolas. Once a month, we get together on the Gnosis Chain Discord here, and we invite a team building products on Gnosis Chain to come and do a demo. So yeah, today we're joined by team members from Valory and Autonolas, and just a quick introduction here. So we have some shared context before the team jumps into their demo. Autonolas is bringing autonomous agents to, they're doing many things, but specifically for this call, they're bringing autonomous agents to the Omen ETH prediction markets platform on Gnosis Chain, creating a fully AI-powered market for long-tail events. More generally speaking, Autonolas is crypto's ocean of off-chain services. The Autonolas stack allows anyone to create decentralized autonomous agents. And real quick, what are autonomous agents? They are entities or systems that can operate independently and make decisions without direct human intervention. These agents are designed to perceive their environment, gather information, analyze it, and take appropriate actions to achieve specific goals or objectives. They are often implemented using artificial intelligence techniques, including machine learning and natural language processing. In May, Valory launched Autonolas' first project on Gnosis Chain, AI Match. With assistance from the Gnosis DAO and Martin Kopelman, AI Match, or AI bots, provide access to AI tools like OpenAI and Stability AI to users, primarily other bots, in a crypto-native way. Valory's mission is to enable communities, organizations, and countries to co-own AI systems, beginning with decentralized autonomous agents. Hopefully, I did an okay job there. I think that David from the Autonolas team can jump in and I'm sure do a much better job than I did there, but want to just kind of establish some shared context before we get started here. So without further ado, let me hand it over to David or whoever else would like to jump in from the Autonolas and Valory teams.
Yeah, thanks, John. Really enjoyed, and I think you did a great job. Thanks for having us. So today we obviously want to have a bit of a look at this AI prediction market demo, which we've been developing collectively. And yeah, if you want me, I can jump right in there, and whilst we kind of go through various of my open tabs and some of the stuff which is running, we can then explore what it is we're putting together. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. And then, once you're finished, we can do a brief AMA if anyone has any questions. And of course, we can talk further about, just prediction markets in general and how they relate to the Gnosis DAO. There's a lot of history there. So if there's time, we can dive into that as well.
Excellent. Okay, so just as a little warning, we are sort of putting the final touches on this. So some of it is a bit last minute in terms of its presentation, certainly not its content. So what I would like to start off with is actually check whether you can see my screen. John, can you just give me a thumbs on that?
Yep, we're good to go.
All right. So let's first look at this on a graphical sort of level to get a sense of. Oops, I'm getting some background noise. Okay, on a sort of schematic to get a sense of what we're trying to do here. So this is a very technical schematic. Don't worry if it's a bit overwhelming. By the end, I think you'll understand it all. Obviously, as John was saying, Gnosis has a rich history and like founding story around prediction markets. And I think a couple of months ago, when we were kind of starting to ideate on this, we realized that AI agents, autonomous agents, could be an interesting addition and a promising addition to that original mission. And so here's effectively the beginnings of what we hope will be like a successful and fruitful a journey. So why AI prediction markets? I think we'll talk about this much more maybe later, and then certainly tomorrow on the Twitter Spaces. But just quickly, it's very helpful when you have events which are too tedious for humans to engage with, sort of long tail events. And also, obviously, software more generally, software-based systems can outperform humans around efficiency, speed, etc. There's other points, and we'll cover them. But having said that, we then wanted to say, okay, what's the sort of MVP, the minimal viable product, to create an AI-based market of agents interacting and creating effectively these and participating in these prediction markets, which then are obviously also open to humans and other entities. So what we have in that MVP is effectively like 3 core components. So we have the market creator or opener agent. For ignore that you currently see like sort of 4 little cute faces here. That is one box, that's one agent. And that agent effectively creates markets on, in this case, the Omen /reality ETH / conditional coin platform, which is deployed on Gnosis Chain. And so what this particular agent does is it basically has to decide what kind of questions might be relevant in order to create markets around it. And that obviously requires access to information, ideally contemporary information, so it needs web access. And it also requires sort of sufficient decision-making capabilities and smarts, quote unquote, to do that. So in order to actually establish what kind of markets to open, this autonomous system uses LLMs. And so LLMs are these large language models. You might know them from ChatGPT. There's obviously also open source variants thereof. And these systems tend to require you to have an API key. And John was mentioning earlier that we had launched AI Max. And AI Max basically kind of sidestepped that requirement for an API key for the consumer of such systems. You can effectively, since a couple of weeks on the system, effectively post requests to an LLM, a large language model, i.e. prompts, and get the responses back, and also while not holding an API key to OpenAI, for instance. Instead, what you do is you have a small micropayment on the Gnosis chain, which kind of allows you to access this model on a per instance basis. And so this is what the market creator or market opener agent uses in order to establish these markets. And then once we have these markets, the question then is, okay, well, obviously, is there going to some trading happening in these markets? And so again, we use autonomous systems for that, autonomous agents. Now, the trading type of autonomous agent, again, we have like here a box for that. There's ultimately going to be many instances thereof. These trading kind of agents also require large language models. Or at least that's what we're using, because what large language models enable us to do is we can effectively create probabilities for these events interacting with these and utilizing these large language models. Now, of course, we're not saying that this is production ready kind of inference capabilities where you then can sort of be confident that any given agent's participation in the market is sort of sensible. On the contrary, what we're creating is effectively template agents of these market creators and trading agents, which have relatively straightforward initial conditions and strategies. And we have a whole kind of hacking project going on over the next few weeks. And John I'm sure we'll share more on that, where effectively all of you on the call, but also obviously others, can participate in that hack and create better and better versions of these market creator and trading agents, as well as better mechs, which basically support these agents and their capabilities. And so today, really, all I want to show is that we are very, very close on open sourcing these free pieces for the community. That will happen later this week. And that we are effectively already capable of having these agents engage with each other. Before I do that, John, do you want this to be a bit more interactive? Should I pause for some questions, or should I just keep going? Let me know. Okay, great.
I think you can keep going, and then at the end we can pause for some questions.
Showing running systems is a bit tricky because then you just see a log stream. But they're currently running, and I just want to walk you through effectively some of the outputs they're creating, those three collectively. So I'll start off by showing you a bit about the Autonolas protocol, or you can also call it OLAS if you don't like the more complex Autonolas. So here we've got the registry. It's currently pointed to the Gnosis instance. And here we have the effectively the trading agent here and the market creating agent, or market mislabeled market creating agent here. So this agent on the software stack of Autonolas can actually be deployed as a decentralized system. That's a sort of topic almost for itself, but like simply put, any autonomous agent in Autonolas land can run both as a centralized system, i.e. as a single instance, or you can effectively run it as a distributed and, if you want, decentralized system. So distributed if you have more than one instance running simultaneously in what we call a service, and decentralized if the operators of each of these instances is a different entity effectively. Now today, for simplicity and for the demo, none of this is decentralized. We have a single agent instance representing each one of those autonomous services, or as we call them, decentralized autonomous agents. And so what we actually use is another kind of a project which came out of Gnosis, which is the Safe. So under the hood, each of these off-chain instances of agents has a private key, but the assets any of these system controls does not sit on that account. Instead, it sits on a smart wallet, which is controlled by, in this case, a single instance, or in other cases, many more instances. And so the benefit should be obvious. Obviously, it can be more secure. You kind of get all the benefits of account abstraction, etc. Now, in this case, effectively, if you want to kind of follow up on this, you could go to this URL, connect with the Gnosis network, and then you can find all this information on chain. You can just take this safe contract address, and then you can see what's going on chain on the Gnosis Scan Explorer. I've got this handily in a document. So earlier today, this market was created. Let's have a look at actually the second one, which was created, because it's a bit more correct. So during these creations of these markets, the kind of key thing is that a question is posed. So that sort of what defines that market. In this case, will AI progress even further in the next 4 weeks? Well, I would definitely bet yes, but other people might say no. This was created on the via the Omen platform, which then under the hood creates effectively these conditional tokens for either side. And then you can see this here in the logs, how all of this comes together. We'll share it in the channel afterwards as well, so you can follow up on this. But effectively now what you have is an on-chain representation of this market, which reflects this question. You can also see this on the Omen front end. And the agents can now take positions in them. So in this case of the previous question, it was the same question at an encoding error, but there were already quite a few transactions earlier. So for instance, we can have a look at one of them and I can walk you through it. Here, the agent effectively took a not too confident stance and voted with that amount of weight in it in the form of XDAI. And that effectively means they purchase the underlying tokens accordingly. Now, this is all somewhat non-news because in a way, this existed obviously long before this call. It's the Omen platform coupled with the Reality ETH module underneath and the conditional token framework. What is obviously exciting is that all the agents do this fully autonomously, right? So tomorrow or the day after, definitely before the end of the week, you'll get access to these public repositories. And in there, you can find effectively all that logic which defines these agents in the autonomous agent framework. The nice thing is that you never start from scratch. You can compose a lot of existing functionality with new functionality, which is exactly what we've done here. And then the exciting thing, I think, for participants who want to participate in the hackathon is that you can then go and effectively alter some of this logic and improve it in order to participate in the hackathon. So the market creator agent is maybe the less exciting one because we will certainly provide a lot of markets from the Gnosis and Valory and Autonolas side. But the trading agent in particular is the one where probably most people want to put the focus on, most developers. So this has, on a high level, a couple of what we call skill. So you have the compose functionality, which composes all the other skills, some of which are already existing ones. And then you have effectively the two core skills here. One is around managing the decision-making flow, and one is around the decision-making in the particular markets. That's how it's currently structured. And the nice thing is you can then go into the code in here, and you can modify it to build way better agents than the template agents and actually competitive agents. The third, yep.
David, if I may jump in, I can actually share. Yeah. Well, sorry. Maybe you go first
Yeah,
and
exactly.
talk about the
Let me just
prediction
show this, and
agent
then I
and
hand
or
over
the
to you
prediction
because you've
maker, and then
been
I can share
playing
how I
around with
already
this.
started to modify it and
So this is
played with
already
it.
public. That's the third piece. So this was what I mentioned in the very beginning. So you have these two full-fledged agents, which you can modify. And then the third bit is this AI Max. So the AI Max, you can also think a bit of them as like, if you come from a development point of view, Web 2 point of view, is like a bit like a cloud function. So you could, and you can have here these different tools. It's very extensible to this. And here we have this one, which is called prediction request. So effectively it's a single file. You can see here the prompting structure, which is being used to effectively serve these requests for these trading agents, which require effectively predictions on these questions. And that's obviously more like both an art and a science. Martin can speak more to it, whether it's more art or science. I guess it's more art. And they are effectively then consumed by the trading agent. So yeah, that's probably all I've got to say. Martin, do you wanna jump in?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's really the part, in my view, where the magic happens. I mean, the other pieces are yeah, kind of are super important, and it's kind of, but I would say still that's a lot of just wiring and kind of putting pipes together. And again, super nice to have the ability to run the services. But to me, really, kind of the the super interesting thing is how can you make useful predictions with LMMs, and how can you yeah, kind of improve that. As soon as you have that, then of course, then if you can make good predictions, if you can essentially, if you can understand the world, that's really what it is about. Then of course, like, based on this prediction, doing a trade and so on. Those are then so. Yeah, I just couldn't wait, and was following what those what you guys were doing, and kind of just tried to run the code locally. And I just wanted to show you, or show everyone here, screen sharing permission. Wait, can you see my screen?
It's loading, but it looks like it's working. Yeah.
I see. So yeah, I took here this. You can see my screen now.
Not yet.
Okay, I start talking anyhow. So while David was sharing, I was essentially taking the question that the markets they created, kind of this question: will AI make progress in the next 4 weeks? And was just yeah, using the prediction agent, and kind of basically just trying to understand what it's doing. And in my version, I actually modified it a bit. So I think in the version that you guys built, it returns a number. And in my version, it not only returns a number, but it also returns a reasoning. And of course, it was part for me to debug and kind of understand, trying to understand a little bit what's going on. And maybe I just read out the reasoning that it's giving. So for me, it said yes is unlikely, and then you can of course translate unlikely to, let's say, 20%, and then it says, as a reasoning, it says, based on the provided information, it's unlikely that AI will make significant progress in the next 4 weeks. The additional information does not provide relevant data specifically about AI making progress in the given time frame, but it does indicate that the field of artificial intelligence is constantly evolving, and that breakthroughs are happening at rapid pace. However, without any specific information about recent advancements or project related to AI, blah blah blah, in the next few weeks, it's unlikely to assign a higher probability to this event. And yeah, kind of now, of course, the question the question was somewhat vague. Progress, what counts as progress? Is it significant progress or not? But kind of just to kind of get an understanding. You can't see my screen, or can you?
Can you try just backing out and then reloading it again?
Yep. Um, yeah, it's maybe a permission thing. Maybe I haven't given Discord the right permissions.
Yeah, it looks like it's just stuck loading.
Okay. Whatever. Not important. I was kind of just, or I think what really one thing I really can kind of recommend everyone is, maybe David, you can share again the code of this prediction request kind of Python file. How easy it is. I'm really not an I'm really I mean I used to be a developer. Kind of I have basic Python understanding, but I haven't really wrote production code in many years now. And still, I was super quickly able to modify the code and kind of tweak the predictions and kind of just to like this how those predictions. Or I already kind of tried to develop a few strategies of how to improve predictions. So for example, strategies like here's a statement and try to get a likelihood for it. Then of course you can kind of double check that and say what's the opposite of the statement, and try to try to find the likelihood for that. And of course, like if the statement likelihood is 30%, then the opposite should be 70%. But if the LMM kind of just looks at the opposite statement and says that's also a 30% likelihood, then of course you can try to well, you know that at least the confidence probably of that prediction is pretty low. Other strategies you could do is to say, if this statement is true, what other statements should be true, kind of, and then in the next step you can try to get the probabilities for those other statements and try to say, okay, this and this and this needs to be true. So the aggregated probability is then kind of multiplied those conditions. Or you can make again the opposite. So if the statement is true, what other statements need to be false? And so again, there are. I think this will be really one exciting part about this project. Yeah, kind of just to explore what are good strategies to to make good predictions. Another one is in the if you look at the code that the Autonolas guys started with, that there you would essentially say, dear LLM, always respond with a probability. And an alternative strategy would be, I think there's some intuition that those LLMs understand language better. So one strategy I tried was to say, here are a set of kind of likelihoods, but in word form. So something like extremely unlikely, almost impossible, almost guaranteed to happen, 50-50, stuff like that. And then basically just say, dear LLM, find the term of those that, or kind of describe it describe the situation in your own words, and then essentially translate the word they are using, or kind of have for each of those words. So almost impossible is a 3% likelihood, very unlikely is 10% likelihood, and then you kind of translate that.
Yeah, I think this awesome
that word to a
example
number,
also
and
of like the composability here, which I just want to highlight. So different people have different strengths and interests, and that's kind of really the hackathon will enable that. So we've got these three agent types, the Max and the other two. And if you're more into this kind of piping, as as Martin was calling it, that then there's like some definite gains to be had. But I also agree with Martin that like a particular reason why we obviously started it at this time, this project is because of these new capabilities. And so if that's just what you want to focus on, then you can just focus on that. And the cool thing is there's a for each of those modes of interacting with this hackathon, there's a way for you to actually benefit from it, right? So you can benefit for your code contributions, but you can also benefit in the actual markets, even if you're just quote unquote just a Mac creator, because the Macs can expose their predictions at a fee, right? And that's again something you control. So we can, or we hope that this will bootstrap this prediction market here, where you have like people specializing in building better Mac tools, people specializing in building better of these agents, and then collectively that creates that vibrant market of machines, in which then of course humans can also add. So plug and play and composability, I think, is really key for this.
maybe this is a good opportunity to share some more info about actually the two hackathons that are coming up. So next week, there is the Augment hackathon that coincides with ECC, and I've shared the link here in the chat.
Yeah, I can say a few words.
But David,
I'm sure
do you want to
Martin
share more
also
info
wants to
about the
say.
30-day
So
hackathon
from our
for
perspective,
AI
like
prediction markets
we will have
that's
these
coming
repos
up?
ready this week, and we'll put up a site which puts all this information together, how you can kind of fork these systems, build them, improve them, etc. And then I think, Martin, do you want to say something about the markets?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so the idea is we have kind of the kickoff will be well, probably this is part of the kickoff, but specifically then releasing this proof of concept and showing that to the world. Yes, it is possible to make a prediction, or kind of just kind of get a likelihood, and then in the next step consume this prediction by an agent. That this agent, autonomously makes a trade essentially, and even the market creation. But probably the core message is probably being able to make a prediction and trade on that autonomously. So that is the kind of the the message we want to get out in the next days. And then, essentially, kind of 2-week building period, should start, and kind of the the hackathon in Paris is, of course, a great opportunity. We are still trying to last minute specify some bounties specifically to this project here. But anyhow, regardless then of the hackathon, then there will be a 2-week period where hopefully people can again create their own modifications of the various components. And starting in August, what we will do is that for each day in August, we will make sure that there will be at least 10 markets that are closing on this day. So probably I'm not 100% sure if all markets will be created already before August. But basically there will be a ton of markets kind of going on. Probably there will be 100 open markets at any time. And each day, at least 10 of those will resolve. So there will be questions like, again, for each day, there will be at least 10 of those that will resolve. And of course, it's meant to be, to essentially be able to very quickly iterate with stuff and try things out. So, I mean, if you have a market that asks who becomes president in 2 years, then it's kind of you can make a prediction right now, but we want to kind of just have a very quick process. And of course, it should be, well, the idea is to have a big range of markets. So maybe even we increase the number from 300 to more, at least 300, so that for humans it's probably not really interesting to kind of go through all those 300 markets and evaluate them, and probably it will be pretty easy to say many questions will be easily answerable and will be pretty clear whether it happens or not. But as a human, it will not necessarily be kind of worth to look at all those markets and then maybe earn $1 if you get it right. But of course, if you are able to use one of those bots that can just kind of do the same task over and over again for hundreds of markets, potentially thousands of markets at very low cost, very very quick. So if you can automate the full process, then of course you will be able to essentially make good trades on those markets, because again we will fund those markets and just um, default set the probability initially to 50-50, and again with just a little bit of understanding of what the question is about, you will the bots should be able to understand this is more like A, or probably pretty clear that some things will happen and some things will not happen. So long story short, we are creating this flood of markets where those AI bots can thrive, and it will be easy for them to kind of to earn money. And of course, I think everything really becomes interesting once we have a couple of agents that then kind of start to compete or start to, and then we will, kind of we'll see how far all this goes, but ideally we could already see something like a price formation, or like let's say a bot decides, okay, this is very unlikely, another bot decides this is actually likely, then kind of then it of course depends on how you program your agent. So if your agent first does a prediction, this is going to happen, then the market price moves again in the other direction. Are you then doubling down and just doing it again, or are you say, well, maybe I'm not so sure, so I should rather go for another market, and kind of all this behavior might emerge, and it will be fun to see. But of course, even humans could enter the mix. So at the end, it's a completely open system. It's just meant to be. We are trying to make it as attractive and as good to be usable with bots, but yeah, many interesting things can happen here.
And we'll share more information about the 30-day hackathon here and across all of our channels. So stay tuned to learn more about that and just how to participate. I think this is probably a good time to have a short AMA. So if anyone has a question for Martin or anyone from the Valory or Autonolas team, you can unmute your mic, or you can also type the question in the chat, and I'd be happy to read it for you. So maybe I can kick it off with a short question, and briefly, just to draw the connection between the hackathon and what everyone's working on here and Gnosis. Of course, the Gnosis DAO has a long association with prediction markets. It was one of the first use cases that Gnosis explored, building on Ethereum. And yeah, briefly, Omen is a fully decentralized prediction market platform. It's built on the Gnosis conditional token framework, which is an open standard for prediction markets. And users can create and or participate in information markets on various topics, really ranging from whatever they'd like, crypto, politics, sports, etc., and share their crypto on possible outcomes, or I'm sorry, stake their crypto on possible outcomes. So yeah, with that, Martin, you touched on it briefly, but why now? Why is now a good time to return to a focus on prediction markets? What is it about AI that offers something novel that wasn't possible in the past?
Yeah, I think, we certainly tried to, 2-3 years ago, make prediction markets work, and I think it was a combination of reasons why, it ultimately back then did not succeed. Probably part was simply too early. Blockchain technology was not mature enough, but still a big part is that it's far from, or kind of the promise of prediction markets was always you have, essentially you have anything in the world that interests you, and you get a precise forecast from the market. That was kind of always the promise. But it turns out to have an active market, or kind of enough liquidity, and kind of really only the market is interesting if there is trades happening, and if there's liquidity. For that you need quite a bunch of money involved, because as a human, to really takes the time to research a topic, or and then also takes a risk to put your money behind it. I mean, there is the entertainment side of things. So of course, people do sports betting. People kind of bet on politics. So those things actually did work historically, but kind of more those technical questions or very specific questions and so on. We never felt like there would be enough people interested in actually trading them. Unless you really put a lot of money into it, then it simply becomes worse. Then the incentives are simply so high. And this essentially changes dramatically, or probably was changing now dramatically with AI, because simply the task of researching a topic, making an informed decision about it, and so on, that could or is about to become 100 to 1,000, probably 10,000 times cheaper. And therefore we see the possibility that we could now actually have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of markets where someone just puts in very little money. It could be in the range of 10, 20, $30. And they do that. I mean, right now we are doing this to kickstart things, but eventually the idea would be anyone who has a question, or anyone who wants to know about a specific thing, very specific thing, and kind of what this market does. Once you fund it, it gives you kind of a real-time, 24/7 real-time forecast on this very specific question. And that might very well be $10, $20, $30 worse to you. So kind of just to have this continuous information about this very specific topic you care about. On the other hand, those AI bots, they are so cost effective that the economics will probably work, that they spend a few cents on the compute to then essentially fight around those for those $10 that you put into the market. And the bots might make a few cents on the trades, or make 50 cents on the trade. But if running it costs only 5 cents, then that's and of course then you have thousands or tens of thousands of those markets. So that is one angle why we think this is super interesting. The other angle I also find super interesting is the idea that the LLMs are doing amazing things, but it's still somewhat unstructured, or I mean, you cannot if you get a response from the LLM, it's usually, I mean, ChatGPT is already, and others are already amazingly good, but still there's always a thing. Well, you cannot be sure whether the answer is true, essentially. And in that context, I also find this concept to say we have something pretty unstructured as LLMs, and we are turning it back into something structured, like this market, where you have a clear question and a very objective number to it. So turning it into something structured, and then have the ability to have essentially many AIs kind of compete or combine essentially their knowledge or their forecast into this one number. So previously you would have, if you ask one machine about a topic and you get an answer and you're not sure about it, but now essentially through this mechanism, if you then observe the number, you get the answer, the aggregated answer from all AI bots that are running. And that can be whatever. So you can have the latest ChatGPT version competing against other open source models and different prompt engineering and whatever. The whole creativity of the AI world has a way to aggregate itself.
Yeah, super cool. Are there any other questions at this time for the team here? feel free to unmute your mic, or if you'd like to type the question, we can read it for you. Okay, yeah, if not, we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow, actually, on the Gnosis DAO community call, which is happening at 3 p.m. UTC. Tomorrow is the 13th of July, and that will take place on Twitter Spaces on the Gnosis DAO account. And yes, we will share more information about the upcoming hackathon, the 30-day hackathon, the hackathon coinciding with ECC. The link is here in the chat. It's called the Augment Hackathon. And yeah, so I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. We're approaching an hour here. So thank you, David. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, everyone, for making the time to come on the call and to kick off the exciting announcement about the upcoming hackathons and the work being done here in general. And thank you, everyone else, for making the time. Our next Ecosystem Wednesday call will be in August. That will be August 16th. So keep a lookout for more information about that. We'll have on another team who will run through a demo. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you on chain. Take care.
Thank you, Jen.